A lot of us are obsessed with titles. Doctor, pastor, reverend, archbishop. Because we've been lied to, we don't need intimacy. So where do we find it? Delilah's love. If you're going to make a choice between something that is unclear in the Bible, you must make that choice on the side of love. What is the most loving thing you can do? Adversity is when your bank account is flat and you have no job. You've been kicked out by your landlord. When your spouse has left you. That is adversity. We are not here for kalongo games. I stopped teaching those things. Adversity is when you have to face the cross. You're going to die. That is adversity. I want to read a scripture in Proverbs 24, which I always found to be a bit abusive. Because Proverbs 24:10 says something that took me aback, and it says, if you faint in the day of adversity, your strength is small. Meaning that you should never faint in the day of adversity. And surely, how bigger an insult can you get? If someone tells you they gave up during a boxing match and then you tell them your strength is small, I do not think that is particularly a palatable thing. But yet, here we are. And then I asked myself, what does it mean for God to say that my strength would be small for the mere reason that I have fainted? Now, let me take you to Psalms 94. It says this, blessed is the man who you discipline and instruct, O Lord, and teach out of your law, that you may give him power to keep himself calm in the days of adversity, until the inevitable pit of corruption is dug for the wicked. Now pause. Blessed is the man who you discipline and instruct from your law, O God, that you may give him power to keep who? Himself in the days of adversity. So in other words, that the teaching and instructions of God, everything God has taught you, is to keep you calm when adversity comes. It is not to shield you from adversity, it is to keep you calm, and you are calm until the inevitable pit of corruption is dug for the wicked, meaning that you need to have enough strength, because it says to keep yourself, to keep himself calm until the pit of the corruption is dug for the wicked. Ephesians 6 verse 10, in conclusion, be strong in the Lord. It's interesting how I've spent many years reading this scripture and reading it and teaching it, and I have never seen that term, be strong in the Lord. Be strong in the Lord. This thing is not for wimps. Before it says put on God's full armor, it says be strong in the Lord. My question is, are we strong? Then verse 14 starts again. Stand therefore. 5 stands. Stand. Stand. It is clear that the day of adversity requires a stand. It requires that you have the steel and the metal to stand. Now, my question then is, why does God require me to stand? You see, if I'm going to fight, if I'm going to take a stand, why am I taking a stand? Why should I stand in the day of adversity? Why? The righteous man is the one who takes what God has given him, turns it it into a prophet and brings it to God, that is a faithful, upright servant. To now, Matthew 25, from verse 31. It continues to say in verse 31, when the Son of Man comes in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then he will sit on the throne of his glory. And he will bring the nations, and he will separate the nations. And he will say, depart from me and enter into rest. And then they will ask, why are we departing? Why are we entering into rest? And he will say, let me tell you, let me bring it home. He will say, let me read it again. He will say, 25. Let me read it for you. All the nations gathered before him will separate them, the people, another as a shepherd separates sheep from goats. And he'll cause the sheep to stand in his right hand and the goats on his left. Then the king will say to those at his right hand, come, you blessed of my father, inherit, receive as your own the kingdom prepared for you from the foundations of the world. So we know who these are, because Paul speaks about all things working for good for these ones. Verse 35. For I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty and you gave me drink. I was a stranger and you brought me to gather with yourself and welcomed and entertained and lodged me. I was naked and you clothed me. I was sick and you visited me. With help and ministering care, I was in prison and you came to see me. Then the just and upright, there it is again. The just and upright will answer him, Lord, when did we see you hungry and give you food? When did we see thirsty and gave you something to drink? Then when did we see you a stranger and welcomed you and entertained you, and naked or clothed you? When did we see you sick? And the king will reply to them, truly I tell you, insofar as you did it for one of the least in the estimation of men, of these my brethren, you did it for me. Now there's a mystery, because we the brethren know. So he's speaking to, anyway, so how will these guys enter the kingdom? But different stories. And he said to those at his left hand, be gone from me, you cast into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry and you gave me no food. I was thirsty and you gave me nothing. I was a stranger and you did not welcome me and entertain me. I was naked and you did not clothe me. And then they will ask, when did we see you? Then you reply to them, verse 35. I declare to you, in as far as you failed, and please notice this, in as far as you failed to do it for the least of these, you failed to do it for me. You cannot give where there is no harvest. Because even in giving, you are expected to give of your first fruits. You're supposed to give of your increase. You're supposed to tithe of your harvest. There is no generosity without profitability. So hear me correctly. Because the term there, and this is what scares me, it says, when you failed. It does not say when you refused. It says when you failed. God's intention is that you are profitable to be charitable. If you are called to shepherd the nations, you cannot shepherd that which you can't feed. Why? your victory, your stand, how it brings grace, it brings a harvest to the body. In your calamity, God expects you to stand. In you overcoming your calamity, you will yield profit. That profit, that overcoming, in it, listen carefully, it says that when there is suffering and you overcome, many of your brethren enter into the comfort, the grace, the harvest you've received. So with that in mind, it starts by saying, in conclusion, be strong in the Lord. Be strong in the Lord.